Now, while this type looks okay, it definitely needs to be kerned and potentially letter space to give it more punch. Now, for those of you who are new to typographic terms, kerning is the adjustment of spacing between individual letters to ensure that the word doesn't have any glaring gaps between certain letter combinations. And letter spacing actually adds between all of the characters and allows you to, spread out a minimum number of characters to fill a bigger space. But the kerning is very important because it allows you to achieve much better looking type. Now, as an example of this, what we'll do is we'll come back to our type, and you can actually go back into a text line simply by double-clicking it. It's kind of like isolate mode, but you'll see it has selected the type tool and given you access into the type line itself, okay? So nice, easy double-click shortcut. What I'm going to do is go to the end of this line, just put in a space, and I'm going to type in capitals, W-O-V-I, okay? This really is irrelevant type. It's not like it's an Italian word or anything else, but I want to show you an example of good versus bad kerning, all right? Now, once again, we'll go back to the main selection tool, and I'm going to zoom up on here so we can see the word more closely. Now, without any kerning applied, you can see that the space between the V and the I is standard, all right, but the space between the O and the V and the W and the O is not. So to me, this looks like we have W, O, and VI together. So we have three separate elements. Now, good kerning would then adjust the space between these two and sort of analyze the whole area so that it looks even and it reads smoothly and continuously, okay? And that's the process of kerning. Well, this is something you can do manually, and I know in a lot of design work that we do, you will want to do some manual kerning. It depends on the font and the style and everything else, but for the most part, Illustrator can do it for you. And what we need to do is pull up our character palette in order to access this. So if we go up to the window menu and come all the way down towards the bottom, you'll see that we have a type submenu. The first item in there is character. Keyboard shortcut actually is Command-T or Control-T on the PC, so you remember that one for future for bringing it up. Now you can see it gives us a palette, in fact it gives us three, that shows us the typeface and the style that we've already got, and it gives us our size. It also gives us leading or line spacing, and here we have the two options. We have kerning, as you can see, in between individual letters, and the letter spacing overall, or tracking, which is another term for it. So here we're currently set to auto kerning, which essentially means none. If we click on here and choose optical, have a look at the difference. The spacing has closed up. There's been a little bit more space applied here between the V and the I. The space has been reduced here between the O and the V, and now that to me looks like one continuous word. All right, if we undo, redo, have a look at what Illustrator's doing there. So optical kerning is a very important thing, all right? So you make sure you turn it on and use it as much as you possibly can to ensure that your type looks good and is more readable, especially in large headlines. That's really where it stands out. Okay, so we've got our optical kerning applied. What we can also do is, whilst we've got this letter selected, in fact, let's just double click and go back in and remove that W-O-V-I at the end and come back to our original type. Let's go back to the selection tool. What we can also do, like I said, is add some tracking or letter spacing to this, and I'm just going to go to the flyout menu on the side here and push that out to a positive 100 value, okay? So you see we get overall spacing applied, but our optical kerning is still being taken into account.